So let's start with step number 1, which is creating a plate layout. So all you do is you select easily the Create Plate Layout option. This screen will open, and this screen is divided into 2 parts. There is a light colored part and a darker colored part. They both serve their own purpose. The left side, the light colored part, is for administration purposes. It's to identify samples and laboratories and people that are requesting the test. So let's fill that stuff in. Company, well, today I'm going to select Biocheck. The customer name, let's say it's me. Sampling date. House number, let's start with the poultry samples. So I'll just call it house number 56. Type of animal, let's say broiler. Birth date. On the left side I now have filled in all my poultry information that I want for these samples. Next step is, let's start talking about the technical stuff, the PCR related information. On the right side I have a bunch of locations and information. I don't have to go into everything, but what you do need to know is that in this case I want to run 8 samples, like I mentioned earlier, for my poultry kits. So I select 8 reactions. The software will automatically add the needed controls. So for both the influenza kit and the MGMS kit, it will be 1 negative control and 1 positive control. So I'll select 8 and I don't have to worry about anything else because the software will compensate. Next is how you want to work on the plate. People have different preferences. I always like working vertical on a PCR plate, so I'll just do that. First assay. Let's start with MGMS. So I select in my long list of available PCR assays, I select the correct kit, which in this case is Mycoplasma gallisepticum synoviae, and it's the Lyo kit. First things first is that the software has batch tracking features which allow you to keep common track or proper track of the reagents you are using for your laboratory work. The things that are already pre-filled in by the customer, by you, is the preferred extraction method and apparently the batch number. If you want to change your extraction method, not a problem, just select the drop-down menu and pick another one. But today we're going to use our own RoboPrep. The sample type is this list here. We made a feature in the software that eliminates the potential mistake of selecting the wrong matrix, because with PCR it's most definitely possible to select the wrong sample type. We gave you an option in the software where the head of the lab can determine which matrices are allowed and which are not. So in this case, if as a technician I see these 4, I know these are the ones I can use, and let's say today we're using tracheal swabs. So no chance of selecting the wrong matrix here. Let's say I'm happy with this. All I need to do now is hit fill, and now in the background you will see the assay appear on the plate. But we're going to use these same extracts, these same sample types for influenza as well. So we're going to add the influenza A PCR to the same plate. All I need to do here is change the assay from MGMS to influenza A. And for today's demonstration purposes, let's make it a different matrix. Let's say tracheal swab again. Everything is fine. I do like to change my starting position on the plate because I always try to align my assays in an order where I reduce the risk of contaminating my work. So let's start for this one in well number A5. I still have the same 8 samples, so I hit fill again. And the assay appears in the background on the plate. I also have swine samples, so let's do those as well. So for the swine sample I'll use the same company, but the house number will be different because it will be, I don't know, 67. It won't be broilers, it might be, what shall we select? Guild. And let's take a different birth date. Let's change the starting well again. Let's start in well number A9, and I don't have 8 samples. I have 7 samples because for demonstration purposes that was easier for me. I'm happy with this. I'm going to select the proper kit, which is PRRF. Same extraction method because you can use our extraction method for RNA, DNA if the matrix allows it. And let's say today I'm using FTA cards. I'm happy with this. All I do now is I select fill. And for this kit, the software is making a notification that apparently for this batch number I have never used standards. This means that the current batch number is not suitable for PCR quantification. So the software has seen this and it's reminding me if I want to use quantification, I need to select a bunch of standards, otherwise no quantification possible. But for today, I'm not going to do that. If I select no, the software has a gentle reminder where it's telling me that I am now choosing a route where I cannot access quantification. Fine by me. So I hit OK. The plate appears in the background again, only this time with a third assay, which is the newly added PRRS assay. I'm happy with this. I hit finish. You can leave it at this and do your work, but most technicians are a little bit like me. I like to have my ducks in a row, no pun intended, and I select a bunch of wells and I can click and drag them on the plate and I can realign everything to a place where I think it's easy to use. So I like it vertical, like I said earlier, and I'm going to have 8 samples in a row like this. I'm going to do the same for my influenza assay, and I'm going to align it like this, and I'm going to do the same for PRRS. I could leave it at this, and I could go to the lab and continue my work. But, as mentioned earlier, I mentioned that the software automatically adds controls. And as you can see, it did that. I had 8 samples, and here is the negative control for mycoplasma. Here's the positive control. As a customer, you can determine how many controls you want to have added automatically. I'm not going to determine how much you want to spend there, but by default, we say 1. It has done the same for influenza. Here's the negative control, here's the positive control, and it has done the same for PRRS. Here's the negative and here's the positive, and here's an additional control that is very specific for the PRRS kit. It's called a process control. The process control is needed because the PRRS kit uses something that we call a exogenous extraction control. It has a control that allows you to check if your extraction process was valid during the PCR. So instead of all the normal controls, there is also a check on the extraction process. This control is also present in the mycoplasma kit, but there it's endogenous and not exogenous. Therefore, the third process control is not needed. For PRRS, we do need it, so the software is automatically adding it to the plate. I could leave it at this, but there's another option to help the technician if he or she wants it. We can assign sample numbers to the plate by right-clicking on a well and selecting the sample number option. The numbers don't particularly align out, but that's because I clicked and dragged all over the plate. With one click on the reset button, everything is aligned again, everything is numerologically correct. It's not always the case that you start with sample number 1 on your day. Maybe you're starting today with sample number 45. If you hit this insert option, the software will automatically number all the samples successively, which makes your life easy. Let's do the same thing for influenza, and it's also possible to use a prefix. Maybe your lab uses a prefix before your numbers. So today, maybe let's say I was starting with sample number 34 and all my samples have a prefix, which is my name. If I hit insert again, the software will automatically number the samples with a prefix. I can do it here as well. Hit insert, done. Let's say I'm happy with this. I hit OK. Now on the plate, the things I just filled in are not yet visible, but that's easily fixed. Going to the bottom right, there's a button that says show sample names, and now on the plate layout I have every bit of information I could possibly need to do my PCR work. The assays are easily identified by color. Right now in the well it will show you the person requesting the assay, it will show you the house number, and it will show you the sample name. It has done that for all the available wells, so nothing more I can do here. I'm happy with this, but I don't like working for nothing, so I still have to save my work. So for today I'm going to call it PCR demonstration. And I'm going to save it to the database by clicking Save Plate. The software is mentioning that nothing has been read on this plate. It's an empty layout. Fine by me, so I say yes. Data saved successfully. Now I'm done with this. The next step in the process is figuring out how many reagents you're going to need to perform the PCR test. So normally you would count the amount of reagents or the amount of reactions by counting the amount of wells and doing the math how much reagents you would need. So in this case, I would have 8 reactions, 2 controls is 10. If you make PCR reagents, by making the exact amount, you will be very sure that you won't have enough. You always need to make a little bit extra. So in this case, I would probably prepare for 11. But we have clever programmers on our staff, so I asked them to develop a tool where the software automatically calculates the amount of reagents needed for your PCR, and it has been compensated for that volume. So if the number you shows up here, it's all you need and you will have enough. If I can explain a little bit, it's telling me that for Mycoplasma I have no components. And that's true, because the Mycoplasma kit is a freeze-dried kit where all the reagents are already freeze-dried in the plate. There is no preparation of liquid reagents needed for this kit, so that's why the components are blank. For PRRS, apparently I need this amount of master mix, enzyme, and apparently water. And for influenza A, I need this amount of master mix, primer mix, and RT enzyme. This is the information I need in the lab. 2 ways of getting it to the lab. Where your lab has computers in every PCR room, you can just save this and open it in the other room. Or if you are like me and you don't have computers in your other rooms, you can make a print screen out of this, and then that will be the only piece of paper you will need today. Like I said, I don't have computers in the other rooms, so I'll just make a print screen. So you go to Print, Plate Layout. Depending on the printer, you will have settings. In this case, I need to do this. If I hit print, the printer will spit out the plate layout I just made. And that is the end of the preparation step for the PCR, and now we can go to the lab.